How's it going, everyone? We are back with another video on my alloy Canyon Spectral. I've been thrashing this bike for a year now, and it's been about 3 months since I made the long-term review. Since then, 30,000 of you have watched it, so being the YouTubers we are, we've got to make another video. No, in all seriousness, some of my opinions have changed a little bit, so I think it's going to be an important update video. Alright, I'm going to start with noise, and I'm talking about an excess of noise. This thing was so silent out of the box, helped by the silent hub and just a solid greased up package. I don't really know if I like that phrasing. Because of this, I recently stripped the whole bike down, re-greased the cranks, the headset, the pivots, and it didn't really do anything. So assuming I did something wrong, I got James to help me and we did the whole thing again. And well, it's better, but it's not perfect, and I don't think there's anything else I can really do. So it's just a little bit frustrating. But that is nothing compared to the GX drivetrain. SRAM just seems to not be able to make a clutch that lasts, apart from maybe their new transmission stuff, but this thing is sloppy as hell now. There's a lot of chain slap, it's really annoying. The whole bike is starting to sound looser and more worn out, and there's not really a lot we can do without an adjustable clutch. The next option really is just to start replacing things. New derailleur for a new clutch, maybe a new bottom bracket to help with the creaking. That's really all I've got left to try. I was really stoked on the hub at first. The silence is really cool and it has quite a unique feeling on the trail when the bike's just dead silent. But the fact that that lack of noise just comes from a lack of engagement has kind of left the honeymoon phase for me. The lack of engagement does hinder the bike's technical climbing ability. I feel like there's been quite a few sections where I would have cleaned it if I'd had a faster engaging hub. It's just something that's always in the back of your mind when you're coming up to a really root infested climb. Fortunately, I can fix this by putting in the 54 tooth ratchets for the low cost of an entire new hub, which I'll probably end up doing. But yeah, I don't know, I feel like a nicer, higher engaging hub would really make this bike feel a little bit more premium out of the box. So that's something to consider. You probably will want to do that upgrade, and yeah, it does cost a fair bit. I'm going to cut the negativity for a second and talk about something really positive. In the review I talked about the fork being a solid option, but not anything amazing. Since then, I'd played around with dropping the pressure and increasing the low speed compression, and it feels so much better, so much more supportive and smoother off the top. I actually think it's a really good fork now, and I'm sure there are better options out there, but for now I'm just pretty happy ignoring them. Another tweak to the setup I've made that's been hugely positive is making my bars a little bit narrower. Being 6'3", I always assumed I had a massive wingspan, but I don't actually think that's true. I was running 790, I believe, on these bars when I first got the bike, and now I'm running 770, which sounds kind of narrow to me. When I was a kid, I would have thought that was ridiculous. It needed to be 800 or nothing, but it's been just so much better. I feel in a much better position on the bike to corner. When I'm in the air, I don't run out of arms when I'm doing a whip or something like that. And just even manualing on the ground, it just feels so much better. I feel way more controlled. So I would definitely recommend trying that. If you have a spare set of bars lying around, try cutting them narrower and play around with it and see if you actually like it, because yeah, that's made a massive difference to the feel of the bike. I would be really keen to get a little something more out of the rear shock. I said in the review that I thought the fork performs better, but since my fork setup revelation, it's even more noticeable that the rear shock's just a little bit lacking. It has no compression adjustment, just a lockout, so there's really nothing I can do in my setup to improve it from here, which means I'm actually really keen to try the Megneg. I assume most of you have heard of the Megneg upgrade. It's a mega negative air chamber for the RockShox shocks like the Super Deluxe, etc. It promises to offer better mid-stroke support while maintaining small bump sensitivity. So in practice, that should give me more pop while not sacrificing the performance in the rough chattery stuff, which is absolutely ideal because I love the pivot switchblade we tested recently, and that's exactly what that bike had. So yeah, hopefully we'll do an upgrade video soon and figure out how to install it ourselves. Another opinion of mine that's changed recently is wheel material. After testing James's carbon wheels on this bike, I realized they can actually be a lot more playful and maneuverable than I thought. It was more the feeling in the air that was so noticeable, the ability to angle it into landings, flick it around, and not just doing whips. I mean, in tech sections, being able to hop and change the angle of the bike to get the exact line you want. It was actually really, really fun, and I'd be pretty keen to put some on this bike. Obviously, it's probably going to end up costing like half the price of the entire bike, so it's a pretty big upgrade, but definitely something I'm going to consider in the future. I'd absolutely love to build a dream wheel set that I take between bikes, but unless someone out there wants to sponsor that, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But stay tuned, because we're going to take our wheel swapping test to Skyline Rotorua soon to chuck it around some fast high-speed berms and into big compressions and see how they fare in that environment. So yeah, subscribe for that. So one other thing that I've kind of noticed about the bike as I get back up to sort of my full speed is it's maybe a little bit too small for me. I'm running a pretty tall stack, but as high as I can go now. And just the reach at 481, I believe it is, it's just a little bit too short. I think next time I'd probably look at going for something between the 490 to 500 range, something in the middle. Which sounds a little bit like a large common cell, but you should drop your suggestions down below. So what's a Kenyan bike like after a whole year of abuse? Not too bad. When we pulled it apart, there was pretty minimal dirt on the bearing seals. One bearing in the rear triangle is pretty buggered, so that will need to be replaced at some point. But considering New Zealand's corrosive volcanic dirt, that's not too bad. I'd probably recommend checking it over probably every season or so, especially if you're doing a lot of wet riding. But it kind of made me wonder if I was riding hard enough. Bear in mind, I don't do as many Ks as a lot of bikers, and most of the time we're filming when we're out, so probably hasn't quite had the same level of use as some people might give it in a whole year, but I think it's pretty solid. The main things I want to upgrade are the star ratchets in the hub, the Megneg upgrade, and an oval chainring. That's really my top priority, and hopefully I'll get to do that pretty soon. There's nothing else on there that really bothers me too much. I still absolutely love this bike. It is a beast of a trail bike, and while it's maybe not quite as fun as that pivot switchblade we tested, I think it is something I'd always recommend for a person that just wants to own one to do it all and is looking for value for money. It's pretty hard to beat. Stay tuned, because we're going to compare this to a Canyon Spectral CFR, which is the top of the line spec. Double the price, double the performance? We'll find out. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop it a like. There's plenty more exciting bike reviews coming, some really cool stuff right on the horizon, so make sure you subscribe for that, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers. It's a little bit rude.